Hey everybody, Cinephile Mike is here, and it is day 74 of Oscar Rewind, my bi-weekly series of video commentary that reflect the work of this past year's Oscar nominees and winners. All season long, I've been digging deep into those IMDb profiles, and my hope is that you will discover a new, older favorite, or maybe revisit something you haven't seen in a while. As always, I'll be discussing the recent Oscar connection, awards history for the film, box office information, critical response, and as always, these reviews are spoiler-free. Now, before we jump in, please do me a favor, click that subscribe button. You definitely want to be a part of all the cinematic goodness coming your way here on the channel. We are closing out the season. I've got a few remaining winners to get to. There's only 2 more episodes after this, if you can believe it. And so as we start this wrap up today, I am discussing September Films' Speak No Evil. And before you think, hey, wait, I know that film. That's not the poster. Well, maybe you don't know this one. While there was a recent version released last year in 2024 starring the always enjoyable James McAvoy, I'm going to go back a couple more years to 2022 when we got the original, which was co-written by Mads Tafdrup and the film's director and his brother, Christian Tafdrup. With no domestic release, this film was released in several international markets, including its home country of the Netherlands, where it took an international, albeit worldwide take of $377,060. Critically, the film was mixed. From 102 critical reviews, the film currently sits with a fresh 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, but from over 500 audience reviews, that popcorn meter, that bucket is knocked over at a 58%. Award season-wise, this film was named Best International Film at both the Golden Scythe Horror Awards and the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, and also saw over 24 other nominations across varied film festivals and critic circles with different categories for directing, acting, and the script. Now, at the Danish Film Awards, while no wins, this was where it had its biggest nomination showing. It had 11. Best Film, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Actor for Morten Burian, Best Actress for Cinephile Siam Koch, Best Supporting Actor for Fedja van Huet, Best Editing, Best Production Design, Best Makeup, Best Sound, and Best Original Score. So why am I speaking about Speaking No Evil? It is for the film's co-producer doing the one-name thing, Trent. No last name, just Trent, who won his first Oscar on his first nod this year for producing the award-winning I'm Not a Robot, the tragically comic I'm Not a Robot, which I talked about that other connection earlier this week, so here I am back with the other foreign film. While producing various projects over the last almost 25 years, I wanted to highlight this more recent one because while the recent remake was chillingly good, in my opinion, in many ways, it doesn't match up to the original in all aspects. Unlike Let the Right One In and Let Me In, which I talked about both of those last year and this year, which were very similarly shot, while this one does have a lot of similar elements, this one goes in a very different direction than what we got. So without spoiling, and for those unfamiliar, I will briefly get into it. So, we have Dutch couple Patrick, played by Fedja van Huet, and his wife Karen, played by Carina Smulders, who are on vacation with their daughter Agnes, played by Liva Forsberg, in Tuscany. They are enjoying the Italian countryside. One day, through a series of events, they meet Danish couple Bjorn, played by Morten Burian, and Louise, played by Cinephile Siam Koch, and their son Abel, played by Marius Damslev. Now, in true fashion, the kids, close in age, seem to bond, which brings the two couples together. The adults, particularly the males, see something in one another, a hint of what could be. Now, I'm not saying that this is in a romantic way. I'm not twisting the plot. But, we see Patrick, where he presents as more confident, is kind of a juxtaposition of Bjorn's a little more laid backness. So there's something here to these couples. They kind of see something. Everyone gets along. It's a wonderful time. Their paths keep crossing. It's a joyous vacations friend situation. But like all things come to an end. And everyone goes back home. Now, sometime later, Bjorn and Louise receive an invitation from Patrick and Karen to spend a holiday with them at their home in the Netherlands. So Bjorn, very excited, why not? And off the three of them set to the Netherlands. Now, upon arrival, they see Patrick and Karen live in a very remote house in a desolate part of the countryside. Very woodsy, very isolated, very almost like a cabin in the woods kind of thing. Things start out okay. Maybe it's just a quiet environment, but then different patterns start to emerge. And we learn that some of the information shared by Patrick and Karen was not exactly truthful. And we also see that they're not quite as loving towards their son as they led to believe. You kind of see where this is going, and if you've seen those trailers, but yet you don't. As different things start coming forth, Bjorn and Louise begin to see that they may be in a little bit of danger here, and they have to figure out a way to get out without offending their hosts. Unfortunately, that will not necessarily be without its challenges, and let the horror begin. I really don't want to say any more because I could really spoil things. Here's what I will say. I saw the remake, before I saw the original. McAvoy was the right amount of creepy, and Scoop McNairy was like the perfect one-to-one to go head-to-head with him. And here, Van Huet and Burian are equally matched in the same way. This film really plays more into the psychological horror and more of the circumstances that are presented, and not necessarily like the gore and the graphic ones. In both versions, maybe you've seen one or the other. Look, safe to say, not everyone makes it through to the last shot in the film. How we get there, there's some interesting choices in the execution. Perhaps the original feels a little more solid because it lacks, and I apologize for saying this, that Hollywood treatment. There's a little something more chilling in the bones of the original. And additionally, given that this film has the different languages because we're from different countries, it's interesting when everyone is speaking English to one another and then they code switch to their native language when they need to keep the other from learning something. Also, the film moves at a really nice pace. It's a very clipped, it's 90 minutes. We, get into the story. We don't get lost in a lot of complicated side plots. The ones we get are powerful enough. There's one thing, and I'll talk about that in a moment, that, kind of is my sole ding or check against the film. But what I like is that it doesn't, rely on, cheap shocks or thrills. They roll certain things out. When we get to this conclusion, you might be finding yourself having to pick up your jaw off of the floor. Of all the technical merits in this film, all those Danish nominations, I do want to call out Sune Kolster's score. Equal parts haunting and atmospheric. It really keeps you off balance, especially as we get to this startling conclusion. And everything is captured in this simplistic cinematography by Erik Moldberg Hansen. It's subtle and it works. It's not too much. We just really get to feel the creep factor. Between I'm Not a Robot and this, Trent, he proves to be a producer who's really keen to tell stories that look into the human psyche or the robot psyche, depending. And I'm actually curious now to check out other work from his list to see how it aligns to these two, because the films he seems drawn towards are fascinating. You know what? I think for one, I'm going to leave it there. Let me just say, this is an excellent 4-star film. It's not quite 5. Why? Let me say this without the spoiler. There are motivations behind certain actions that I wish I got a little more explanation for. Although then again, maybe the fact that I don't get it makes the better film, because it could have led to even more convoluted elements. 4 stars. I would love to have given this one a 5, and I toggled back and forth when I saw it. But look, it's a very strong 4 that you should see, especially if you like the psychological horror films. This one is for you. And you have a couple of options now to watch it. When I first watched this, the only option was to either buy or rent it digitally or stream it, as it is still streaming now on AMC+. It's a Shudder original film from the distribution here. Or if you don't have access to AMC+, and you don't mind the ads, they have recently added it to Tubi with ads. So you got some options. All right, there you have it. We only have 2 episodes left again for Rewind this season, and then we are into the awards films. How exciting. As always, if you like what you heard here, please click that button, subscribe to the channel, like and share the video, spread the word. You can follow me, Cinephile Mike, on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd. Find lots of great additional content on my website, cinephilemike.com. All right, happy watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.